As we have all witnessed in the past 2 years, COVID-19 has affected so many people on so many different levels. We have seen businesses shutting down. We have seen individuals losing hope. Even major industries have been affected by this pandemic. I mean, the chemical industry is no exception. But yes, I always like to say the glass, whenever it's half empty, it is always, always half full. So yes, the pandemic has exposed industry's weaknesses. But you know what? It has therefore exposed and encouraged industries to create formation of new strategies, formation of new business models. It has helped leaders look at the bigger picture and think outside the box. In this sense, the chemical industry is again no exception. And that is why this year's Form and Edition is exceptionally important, as a new surge of various trends are being brought by the unprecedented scale and speed of the crisis. So how can we get out of this stronger? How can we get out of it with value creation? And how can we employ sustainability? All that will be answered, and much, much more will be covered in these 2 days. So let's hear from the Vice Chairman and CEO at SABIC and Chairman at GPCA what he has to say about the 3 R's of this evening. To re-identify challenges, reinvent strategies, and reshape a new future for the chemical industry. So without further ado, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming Mr. Yousef Al-Benyan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning and welcome to the 15th GPCA Forum. It has been longer, as usual, since we last gathered. Our last meeting was canceled last year because of COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, COVID has drastically affected all of our lives. Some of us lost a friend or family to the illness. May Allah bless their soul. And we have all had to deal with the travel bans, social distancing, isolation, face mask, and vaccinations. These public health measures may continue for some time as a new variant of the coronavirus appears in other parts of the world. The pandemic has drastically affected our work lives too. Our industry was not spared. We saw the global petrochemical value pool evaporated as both demand and oil prices plummeted. The world sustained 3% drop in the GDP in 2020. Demand for goods either surged or dried up, seemingly overnight. Supply chain were stressed to a breaking point and remain so in some cases. The region's chemical producers struggled to cope under these market conditions, although they managed to sometimes in remarkable work that they actually increased output by a little more than 1% in 2020. Still, we had little choice but to apply brakes on many of our business plans. But enough of the recent and talking about the past, let's look at the future. Tomorrow is another day, and it brings a new dawn for the GCC chemical industry. Global GDP is rising again. The 2021 earnings outlook for the industry is promising, and GCC chemical output is expected to grow another percentage points or more. So my main message to you here today is that is it time to take the foot off the brake and step on the accelerator? But a faster and surer way forward has to map out the light of what we have experienced for the last 2 years, which has affected the industry historical evolution. The global chemical industry has long been creating significant value, more than $1 trillion of a total economic profit over the last 20 years. but its value chain has always been built from both ends, from the upstream side and also from the downstream sides, and will not change. In fact, the tensions is building. Input industries like feedstock and utilities anticipate growth below global real GDP growth rate. Yet, consumer industries expect to grow above the GDP rate. This tension between upstream and downstream will have to be relieved while maximizing the competitiveness of our business. Companies that fail to do this will disappear, in my view, in the next decades. Meanwhile, global mega trends like digitalizations have dramatically ramped up the pace. Digital technology was a lifesaver. Literally, during the days of the beginning of the pandemic, when it comes to creating value in the chemical and petrochemical industry, we were only starting to scratch the surface. Although it's 4 years old, World Economic Forum report still provides a good estimate of the total value that digital transformation could potentially deliver over the decade, as much as $500 billion. I repeat, $500 billion. And this is just economic benefits. There are significant non-economic benefits as well. And I will get back to this point later in my speech. For now, let's take a pride to the fact that the way we implemented digital workarounds that kept our industry going through the worst days of the pandemic. Thanks to those efforts, we can only busy ourselves dealing with the supply chain challenge that COVID has created for us. But an even bigger challenge for our industry, climate change, has not gone away. In fact, it poses a huge challenge for the world. The pandemic showed just how closely greenhouse gas emissions march in step with commercial productivity, modern society. Global CO2 emissions dropped by about 6% in 2020 relative to 2019. They have since picked up to the pre-pandemic level. However, in 2021 looks set to see the second largest ever annual increase in global CO2 emission. So the pressure to decarbonize the global economy is growing. Almost 80% of the world GDP is generated from the countries they have pledged to go into carbon neutral. The utilities and transport sector were early movers, and they provided a clear policy direction and capital allocation. But now it's our time as a chemical industry. Our industry is remarkably, also trap the carbon, it's in the product. Therefore, it's an attractive route for decarbonizations for upstream oil and gas companies. More than 70% of input carbon is captured in the final products. On the operation side, the chemical industry has been decarbonizing for more than 2 decades and achieved considerable results. But more needs to be done. Better technologies are needed for the hard to decarbonize our assets, and we have to make our operations more efficient and reliable in general. Our customers certainly are insisting over more strongly to keep our sustainability at the heart of our business in everything we do. And they are not the only ones. Banks and other lenders are evaluating us according how we'll be managing our sustainability. No wonder that ESG rating providers have become influential institutions. On top of this, the global macro challenges have worked to change the world economic order. This will affect the global supply chain and a trading route as well, and encourage more protectionism. All things I have touched upon, cross-border trade, digitalization, sustainability, were important to us before the pandemic. We have been trying and knowing closely to them, and we could see with them in our way how they're going to re-evolve. But our collective response to the pandemic squeezed these pre-existing mega trends together at the same time as the energy transition timeline were shortening. The result is an acceleration that puts much more pressure on our industry to keep pace. The theme of the GPCA Forum has focused for attention on 3 Rs: mapping out faster, surer route to match accelerated pace of an industry, transformation, redefine, reshape, reinvent. Let's take the first R, redefine. What aspects of an industry need to be better operation definition in the view of what we have recently experienced? How about resilience? In the past, this term was usually brought up in the context of macroeconomic down cycle or oil price slumps. But as now clearly that our discussion about resilience should be broadened to include contingency planning for global public health emergencies. Also, think of accelerated megatrend mentioned before. Those related to trade, digitalizations, climate change, and so on, shouldn't be a way of us to think about the increased risks that they are more likely to bring to our industry on the few coming years. There are worsening protectionism, increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks, and disastrous weather events. I would like also to ask, how can we generalize the term of resilience to include our employees' response to stress on the personal level? Employee well-being deserve more corporate attention from our industry. The second R of this forum, reshape. And in view of the accelerated megatrend impacting our industry, I would say that certain relationship could be used through a reshaping. Looking outward, there is no doubt that there can be further tightening collaborations with the key government and also industrial players. Customers and stakeholders are very crucial for our industry, current and future. But to address these uncertainties and changing world order, companies must consider value-driven investment that can diversify their assets and sales footprints. This will help to protect them against any macro or industry-specific headwinds. Looking onward, we need to get our own organization better shape as well. Company units should be consolidated according to lean, efficient operating model. These are more likely to deliver no matter what surprises market may spring. And the last but not most important, internal relationship. We need to reshape its own within our own employees as well. There are new norms related to career developments, the future of work and youth empowerment. They are here to stay. And we must not just accept them, but we need to embrace them. And that brings me to the final R, reinvent. We can take that word at the face value and literally invent our chemical plants and processes again on the basis of different principles. The process control system at our plants, for example, can be reinvented to take advantage of digital sensor and artificial intelligence. That could make it easier for us to optimize resources, increasing plant utilization, minimize risk, and even reduce emission. But the reinvention of our industry should also draw non-digital technology, alternative feedstock, a new catalyst, renewable electricity source. They are all enabled to develop a recyclable or bio-based product and to decarbonize our chemical plants. One specific kind of non-digital technology has been getting a lot of attention lately, water electrolysis. That's because we can do longer remain, and we cannot be also continue longer remain colorblind when it comes to hydrogen. A gray has to fade to blue, a blue has to fade to green. Reinvention is also urgently called for across the entire economy. A circular economy requires a framework for composing national development, infrastructures, transportations, manufacturing, and food production must be all orchestrated. Decarbonization and circularity are not just for one company or even one industry. They are for the whole society and the economy. The solution has to be generated through collaboration, not only within the chemical industry, but also across multiple industries in the value chain. To solve those challenges, chemical companies must rely on government-supported platform approach, such the circular carbon economy proposed by Saudi Arabian presidency of the G20. Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the current challenging and uncertain times, I'm uncertain and confident that our industry leaders will set a path to redefine, reshape, and reinvent its value chain. Indeed, we have been talking about transforming our industry for several years. But now, this is the time has come repeatedly in order for us to have a very strong benefits of our GPCA forum. So I would add, if you allow me, a fourth R, word of threes that we have to remember. Remember the importance of establishing a global footprint to gain footholds on which to raise the value of your business or lower your product cost. Remember the importance of innovation, which can improve efficiencies in existing product line or perhaps even create an entirely new product lines. Remember the importance of customer intimacy, which can be achieved through receptive and perceptive sales network. And above all else, remember our development of people, your employees. We can make progress self-sustaining. They are the true treasure of our assets, and they are very important for them to keep them safe and healthy. Finally, I would like to urge you to make use of the GPCA platform to redefine, reshape, and reinvent various aspects of our industry that it's really proceed, much most likely and surely to the future of success. At the end, I would like also to inform you that the GPCA Forum Board has made the resolutions yesterday that we will be rotating our yearly forum through all our GCC capitals. Therefore, I would like to invite you for our next forum of GPCA in the capital of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. Thank you very much.